Alan, are your loins girded?
My loins are girded this week, David. I am ready to go anywhere.
In what?
A Landcruiser LC300, so 300 series GXL. Now, we bought you the base model GX recently, and that starts at a shade under $90,000. David, what's the price on this one?
This one goes up to 101 and then up
101 and some change.
And some change, yes.
Yeah.
And then it steps all the way up to nearly 139 if you go to the top of the range.
And we'll be bringing the range toppers later. They've all got the same engine, which is a 3.3
V6 twin turbo diesel.
With a massive amount of power.
227 kilowatts and 700 newton meters of torque. That's more than the V8 it replaces.
And there was a lot of bitching about the V8 going, but I tell you what, I have not lamented it at all. This is much better in every way it's possible to be better. It's nicer to drive, sounds nicer, more economical, etc., etc.
Yes, it improves 6.3% more economical on the combined cycle as rated.
Yep. We get 18-inch wheels on this model, up from 17-inch on the previous model. And then we're 18-inch all the way through the range, with only one of the range toppers getting 20-inch. And this bumper bar, it's a sturdy bit of metalwork.
Very important that it is one that was built and designed by the original manufacturer. The others aren't necessarily bad, but you know that this has definitely taken everything into account: balance, detection.
And also all the safety things work. Now, you like a side step to get in?
Yes.
And there's handles inside, so you can pull yourself up inside. Also standard?
Is the central locking and the automatic opening.
Yeah, so if you've got the key in your pocket, which I don't, that's inside, you can just lock it here with the little divot on the top, and that's because the key's inside, and slide your hand inside to pull the door open, so it'll unlock it and pull it open. Heated side mirrors and electric folding on this model. Which is a step up from the previous model. The other thing is privacy glass, so that you can be VIP'd in the back, David.
Yes.
Yep. And the most important feature of this now some of the seating arrangements, there's 4, 5 and 7 seats, depending on which model you get.
GX, GLX.
Yes, so GX, GXL, VX, Sahara, ZR Sport and Sahara ZX, I think it is.
Yeah.
And they get progressively posher as you get up, so you're talking another nearly $40,000. And as David pointed out, all of these things are Toyota accessories, which means they come from a dealer and they're warranted by your dealer, which I think is the important thing. So not only do they work, but they're warranted.
Bit of use of aluminium around in certain places, it's lost a little bit of weight. Alan, I've just tried to get into the back. Perhaps you might take your turn at doing it now.
I'll get into the second row, but I'm not doing the third row. So first of all, have a look at this. It's an electric button. And so that goes up, not as high. I think we pointed this out as previous models, so I'm just a shade under 6 foot. Anybody else would. But have a look with the third row up. Have a look at how much space you haven't got in the back.
A small hatchback would be embarrassed by that.
Remember, releasing them is a fairly easy affair. Like you've got these straps, which are allegedly to pull it up with, but you can't reach them from inside. Now that's a lovely big flat floor. However, come and have a look at the back seat. This is the back seat, and it's a 2-part bit. It's the seat back and the seat. So I've had to get into the car and fold that up separately. And it was absolutely painful. Folding it down, it goes away by itself and then drops down to give you a nice flat floor. So tumble that forward, lock it down, bring the back seat up, that's the way, and you can adjust that back too, so you could have a nice leisurely ride. There's a pull there to try and get in. Side steps make it easy. David, do you feel like a king? There is a plethora of outlets. There's a 12-volt outlet, some USB-Cs, a temperature control for rear cooler, so it's not a third zone of climate control as such, and some rear outlets. But most importantly, David, you've got sufficient legroom.
Yes.
You know,
and headroom. Look at this. Look at this. Okay.
And an vent above your ear roll.
And a Jesus handle.
Yes, you've got a Jesus grip there. We've got dual zone climate control on the front with a cooler in the back. But apart from that, David, this really does look very similar to the base model car that we had last time.
So this screen is what, about
9 inches?
9 inches?
Yep.
Whereas the other one comes in at 12, doesn't it?
It does. But look, the thing I like about this is it's got fixed buttons down the side that are easy to access and a row of climate control buttons. They're easy to access. What I think is probably a little bit of a savings too far is the measly 4.2 inch cluster screen. I think that's a little bit mean. The next model also gets a cool box here, but this thing still has the cool glove box, opens both ways. Not the glove box, sorry, the center console bin.
Alan, it's a wet road. You would preach caution in my driving style. And I find that if you, within the speed limit, you are pushing not the limits, but certainly the comfort levels of this. And I found that you turn in, it's not exactly sharp, but you've got to keep turning the steering wheel.
Well, David, it does weigh an absolute, it's about the size of a small 3-bedroom brick bungalow. This has quite a bit of body roll. The main reason for that, of course, is this is an off-road car made to be off-road first and foremost. The rest of it is almost ancillary.
So it's better and it's more fuel efficient, as you say, and it works through a 10-speed gearbox.
And of course there's drive modes as well. If you don't have the MTS or the multi-terrain selector operated, when you use the drive mode select, it'll give you just the sport, eco and normal options. But if you operate the MTS, it'll give you things like dirt, mud, and I think there was even deep snow.
Deep snow?
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd want to drive in deep snow. David, what about you?
No, deep snow reminds me of being in a difficult situation.
I just think of Jack Nicholson in a remote hotel with an axe. It's not a place I want to go.
It has lane keep assist, which is one of the less desirable systems.
Well, it's one of the things that you need for 5 stars, but it doesn't make a distinction between braking and steering. So this does not have active assistance, which really frosts our cookies, doesn't it, David?
Look, it works on the principle of not correcting the steering wheel but braking a wheel.
Brakes the wheel opposite the one that's crossing the line. Now the heavens have just opened. I put it to you, in some cases that's unsafe. Now, but it does have smart cruise control. Our headlights have come on because they're automatic. The wipers, as we pointed out, are not automatic, they're intermittent. So I suppose it's automatic of a sort. But on this not very nice bitumen, I think the ride is absolutely superb.
And quiet. We've had the variety of road surfaces, and you're not starkly hit by their differences. They've worked hard on the quietness, and I think they've done very well.
The only thing we can hear is the very heavy pitter-patter of rain against our windscreen, which works very nice to send you off to sleep overnight, but not so great when you're trying to drive.
But Alan,
it's pouring.
The windscreen wipers are quiet.
Yeah, very quiet. And I think that's one of the things that Toyota has done really well in all of their new models, is they've made a concerted effort to consider the passengers. With that accessory pod attachment thing on top that you can tie stuff to, it's made the wind noise up there really, really, really loud.
Yes.
I mean, generally this is great. The instrumentation, I think, is absolutely beautiful. I'm glad they've got the climate control out and a separate array. And I'm glad the cruise control is now on the steering wheel 100% instead of being on that awful, do you remember the stalk Toyotas used to have?
And when you click it, one gentle click, it goes up 1 kilometre an hour at a time.
Yeah, and if you press and hold, it goes up 5.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's very easy to operate. Final thoughts, David. Final thoughts on the GXL. We've ranted quite enough, I think.
It has evolved. It is clearly using more modern technology, a V6 that performs better than a V8.
It's beautiful.
10-speed gearbox. It's more technology. it is still a big four-wheel drive with strong off-road capability, which compromises its any sedan-like performance on the open road. Yet, you would say, Alan, it has that element of smoothness when you're on a fairly straight, long-distance haul.
I think it's very much a car you could tour on, and once you reach that certain age and insist on buying a recreational vehicle of some kind, God save us all, you can hook that up to this and you can tow, you can tow an awful lot. It's got sway control, so you shouldn't get that nasty slap thing happening. And that's all this week from the Toyota Landcruiser 300 series GXL. Great car, a few shortcomings, but I think worth the money.
It has progressed greatly as far as a four-wheel drive SUV put together, but it's still then a bit of a lumbering car if you want to drive it, but settle onto a highway and it's quite comfortable.
I love it, and I would be very happy to do a long trip in it. It's come time to hit like.
Or leave a comment.
Both, and over there, more importantly, to subscribe.